Wayne McGarity just pushed out of bounds, Rod. Wayne McGarity showed great speed, almost outran the last angle. You know, when you kick a long field goal, a lot of the people that are covering for you are offensive linemen. That first wave is all offensive linemen. Wayne McGarity takes advantage of that, hits it up into the middle, and watch how he outruns this angle here. Sean Fleming can't get him. And a great effort by Kojo Adu to just get him out of bounds. Saves a touchdown for Edmonton.
Wayne McGarity last week, back-to-back punt returns of 60 and 70 yards in that game against Montreal, and a 79-yard return on a missed field goal. For a second there, looked like he might have made a mistake, might have just given up the single. He didn't. Marcus Crandall. Let's take a look at the Calgary Stampeder offense. Of course, watch number 6 in the backfield, Lawrence Phillips, his second game with the Stampeders.
Marcus Crandall saying he wanted to get Lawrence Phillips more involved in the offense here tonight than he did in week 1. There's your offensive line. Big Fred Childress on the left side in his 10th season at that guard position, and 8th with the Calgary Stampeders.
Crandall looks like he'll throw again in the shotgun, 2nd and 10. Down to the 32-yard line. Catch is made by Don Blair.
Defensively, the Edmonton Eskimos will rotate up front. They'll throw in right now Albert Reese as the starter, but he will also rotate with Darian Booth. So we'll see 5 in that front 7 on the defensive line. Shannon Garrett moves to the safety position for his first time in his CFL career, 8 years in the league. But this will be a second game as free safety. The leader, though, without question, Singer Mobile.
Oh, yes. Missing Robin or Batman. Terry Ray, who's now a Blue Bomber. Crandall throwing again. And a beautiful grab attempt. Did he catch it? No. Almost had it.
Albert Connell at the end of that one was vertical. He laid out for the ball, and in the opinion of the officials, he never had control. Let's take another good look at it here. That looked pretty good from that angle that he did have it, but you can see the ball as loose as he hits the ground. The officials say he never had control of that football. And it comes out.
Albert Connell's first CFL game against Montreal had 5 catches last week. That was an almost catch. 2nd and 10. Crandall down the middle. Catch made again. Don Blair takes it down to the 10-yard line.
Well, Don Blair had a great training camp, and in week 1 of the season, he had just 1 catch. It was 1 catch for 10 yards. He was very frustrated after game 1, and with the training camp that he had higher expectations. But he has settled in early. That's his 2nd catch already in this one. So obviously, Marcus Crandall in practice working with Don Blair.
You know, he gets jacked up, Don Blair, for these games, the former Eskimo. There's Lawrence Phillips. No touches yet for him. There's the former Heck Crichton Trophy winner, Don Blair. Stampeders on the move, thanks to that great return by McGarity. Crandall nowhere to go. Might have picked up a couple of yards.
Well, Glenn Young and Alfred Payton played this absolutely perfectly. 2 players responsible for 2 different players. I'll show you exactly what happens. Here comes Alfred Payton, his responsibility, the quarterback. As Phillips comes out, Glenn Young's responsibility, Lawrence Phillips. Watch how they work it. Alfred Payton is in perfect spot. He's got his man. That's the quarterback. And Glenn Young was out there with Lawrence Phillips as well to the left of your screen. That's textbook defense playing against the option.
2nd down, 7 yards to go, and Marcus Crandall wants to talk about it with Jim Barker at timeout.
And Rod, when you look at Glenn Young in this lineup defensively, you know, there's high expectations on him as well, simply because of the guy he's replacing defensively for the Edmonton Eskimos and Terry Ray.
I think there's still a lot of talk here in this town and maybe throughout the CFL, the mystery of Terry Ray and how such a great player could be just let go.
Well, and when you ask Tom Higgins about it, he'll say he doesn't think that he has to really justify any of his personnel moves with the media or anyone else. He has to balance the lineup, and in his opinion, when he looked at the import Canadian ratio and where he'd like to see players playing, it worked out that he wanted to get 5 defensive linemen, Darian Boost one of them, and would like to have played with 2 American running backs in Troy Mills and Mike Pringle. And that's what happened to Terry Ray.
Crandall lets it go. And there is a flag in the backfield. The pass intended for McGarity again.
Crandall looked like he got poked in the eye at the end of that play.
Major foul, roughing the passer, hit to the head. Edmonton number 90.
And that's why. And that's Raheem Abdullah. You take a look at Marcus Crandall, and it looked like he went right away. He went to that face. Defensive lineman. The hit is not vicious. It's where the hit happens. See Abdullah get up in the face mask of Marcus Crandall. Good call by the officials, who are always trying to protect the quarterback.
So now 1st and goal after roughing the passer. Fake to Phillips. Rolling left. Crandall wide open end zone. Touchdown, Don Blair.
I'll tell you what, for Don Blair, that touchdown was, okay, I'm the bottle cap. You're the stick. You go down and find a spot in the end zone, and I'll find you with the ball. Don Blair's pattern is an out. Little play action pass for Marcus Crandall. He comes out to the outside. Don Blair had running out. He was supposed to be close to the sideline. He saw Crandall come around. He saw where his defensive back was, Don Blair did, and he turned back to the back of the end zone.
So Don Blair instrumental. McLaughlin the finishing touch. It's 7-0 Calgary. Started with the great return by McGarity, and Duncan O'Mahony kicks it down to Winston October. Stampeders leading 7-0. October tries to break one, and maybe this is a night of special teams play. Already a couple of great returns. The first one by Wayne McGarity, leading to the 3 catches by Don Blair, including the touchdown.
3 of the 7 plays went to Don Blair, big plays, including that touchdown. A veteran move by Blair to get to the back of the end zone, and there was the one roughing the passer penalty. Penalty's a big problem for the Eskimos in week 1. They had 22, almost a team record.
So the Eskimos start at their 52. Handoff up the middle. Only a pickup of 2 for Mike Pringle. His first carry of the night.
This Calgary defense, dominant in week 1 for 3.5 quarters, played tremendous football. 8 sacks on the night versus the defending Grey Cup champions. Joe Fleming had 3.
And in the secondary, Hassan Proverbs, safety for the Calgary Stampeders, will see a lot of action here tonight. 2nd and 8. Ray to Pringle, nowhere to go. Big play there.
George White, wow. He was over there in a hurry. And talk about big offseason acquisitions. George White, maybe one of the biggest for the Calgary Stampeders. He drops out of there and is on his horse in a hurry to track down Mike Pringle. We're seeing textbook defense from both sides, basically, without the one penalty mistake from the Edmonton Eskimos. They played pretty well defensively, too. A lot of scenarios, but that was played perfectly from George White.
Sean Fleming to punt. Might want to keep it away from number 86. McGarity has been deadly the first couple of weeks. Gets the ball. Running room again, finds a seam. This guy is something else. 7-0 Stamps. Well, last week, they've been talking about it in Calgary, certainly for a few days. Choice in overtime to go for it instead of kicking a field goal to tie. And it didn't work out for Jim Barker and the Calgary Stampeders, who gave up a 20-1 lead against the defending Grey Cup champions.
Gamble to go on 3rd and 2. Jim Barker says in the same scenario, do it all over again.
Stampeders leading 7-0. Crandall to the sidelines. Catch made by Laterio Rochelle. Jim Barker, yep, he says he would do it again and again. No doubt about it.
To me, it was a call that was a no-brainer, and it was something that I've been talking to our players from the very first day of training camp about what kind of a football team we were going to be, that we were going to live on the edge, that we were going to do things a little unconventional and be aggressive. And then for me to, at that point on the 1.5-yard line, to kick a field goal and send it into a second overtime, to me it was just not something I wanted to do.
Well, they went to Lawrence Phillips a couple of times. You might have thought maybe a quarterback sneak in that situation, the throw on the third down. I guess the thing is they were at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, and on first down, it was on the 1-yard line. They actually lost a yard, and there was been debate for both things. One, the decision to gamble on third down. The other was the play calling by Marcus Crandall in that situation. However, he wanted to set a precedent that his team would be aggressive all season long.
Crandall throwing again. Catch made by McGarity. Breaks a tackle and is tripped up, but has a first down. I'll tell you what, had they won the game, no one would be talking about that. And maybe a lot of people still aren't giving the Montreal Alouettes defense enough credit in that situation for stuffing Phillips twice.
Well, yeah, and that brings up the entire controversy, because with that defense in Montreal, that's why people are saying, why didn't you kick it and just live to play another down? And as a coach, when you look at the book and the manual, that's probably what it says. Kick it, play another down. But Calgary, to a man, these players have said, we support Jim Barker's decision. We thought we had a chance to win it right there. We went after it. Didn't work out, but that's what we like, that aggressiveness.
Looks like a time count violation against the Stampeders. It might have also been Jim Barker, offensive coordinator last year for Montreal, maybe trying to say and send a message to his old coach, Don Matthews.
Well, you got to think that somewhere deep down in there, the fact that Don Matthews was on the opposite sideline likely had a little bit to do.
Probably.
But I like what Jim Barker said. He said, I've been saying this from day one in training camp, and if the message has been consistent, that's one thing. That's a whole different story.
Crandall again. Has it knocked down on 1st and 15. Big rush there from the Eskimos.
Crandall's pass attempt doesn't get any food in the hands of number 91, Dorian Boos.
The pressure coming off the edge. I believe it was Dorian Boos coming off. We said that they're going to rotate into the lineup. There's Boos 91. He gets a nice initial rush. Jeff Pilon gets pushed back into the lap, basically, of Marcus Crandall, and you can see why they're so high on him and want to rotate him through. Like to keep those defensive linemen fresh.
Crandall's 5 of 9. 2nd and 15. Too low that time for Andre Arlane.
Interesting that last season the Edmonton Eskimos defensively weren't really a pressure team. That wasn't really their signature. And yet early in this game, I see a lot of blitz. That one from Singor Mobley coming off the edge to force Crandall in a quick throw. Both these teams played in week 1, the Montreal Alouettes, who basically will send pressure every play.
Duncan O'Mahony is back to punt with 5.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Darrell Robinson, Winston October back. October lets it go over his head and will give up the single point. So a point to Calgary, make it 8-0, a 66-yard punt by Duncan O'Mahony. It is 8-0 Stampeders in this Battle of Alberta. 5 minutes to go, first quarter. Let's go down to Ken Chillibeck. Ken?
Thank you very much, Rod. You know, lots been said about the fact that Ricky Ray, the Eskimos starting quarterback, doesn't particularly like alternating quarterbacks, as Tom Higgins is electing to do. Well, Bart Hendricks, the backup, I talked to him earlier in the week, and he says he doesn't like it either. Hendricks, very highly thought of by the Eskimos here, and they think he could be the quarterback of the future, and I guess that's one of the reasons that they're giving him a major look-see this season to see how he does under pressure situations. Guys, back to you.
Well, we might see Bart Hendricks the way it's going so far for the Eskimos offense. You know you're going to see him at some point tonight. It's an issue, I guess, you know, a lot of CFL traditionalists might argue with, you know, 1-2 alternating back and forth. This has always kind of been a one quarterback league. You go with the guy who got you there, but It's worked for Tom Higgins. The Jason Moss, Ricky Ray thing last year certainly worked, but Ricky Ray is crushed in the backfield.
Yeah, he had no chance there. Aries Monroe came off the edge, basically unblocked, not picked up by Chris Morris on the outside. And I don't care if it's Bart Hendricks or Ricky Ray playing. This has not got a chance. This play here is done before it even starts. Right off the edge, Aries Monroe unblocked by Chris Morris, who basically gave him the Olay and let him go by. Did not slide out to pick him up, and doesn't matter which quarterback you have playing there, he doesn't have much chance to get it out of there.
Did play one game last year, Aries Monroe, with Montreal against Edmonton. Sean Fleming, again, a 2-and-out for Edmonton. And McGarity, who is dynamite, but this time decides that he's going to jump on it. 8-0 Stampeders. This is Wendy, CFL Live on TSN.
What keeps you going? Drive, determination, Vector. With protein, carbs, and over 20 vitamins and minerals. Vector. Fuel up.
Receivers wide left for Crandall, who gives to Lawrence Phillips. Only a couple of carries so far here tonight. Only 17 carries and 44 yards against his old teammates. It's quite a story, too, in Calgary. Lawrence Phillips with Wally Buono no bit longer there, and Calvin Anderson now with the BC Lions, and Jim Barker bringing Lawrence Phillips to the Stampeders. You know this guy, Glenn Suter, has game.
No question. And that's never been a question for Lawrence Phillips anywhere that he's been. And that includes playing over in Europe, includes the National Football League. And so far, so good for Phillips off the field with the Calgary Stampeders.
-1 yard for the Eskimos right now. There's Phillips. Big gain up to the 40, about a 16, 17-yard pickup.
But it is a good comparison to follow throughout this game, because Lawrence Phillips, of course, in Montreal last year, took over for future Hall of Fame Mike Pringle. And that was basically, you see Lawrence Phillips sneak out of the backfield here. Basically, Don Matthews made that decision as soon as they signed Lawrence Phillips, that Phillips was going to be the back. And, of course, Pringle asked to be traded at the end of the year in Edmonton. So we'll compare the two. They don't play against each other, but it'll be fun to watch their production in this one.
Phillips gets the call again, picks up about half the first down yardage. Well, there was quite a controversy last year in Montreal with Phillips and Pringle, and if you talk to Mike Pringle about it, however, he said he was pretty cool with Lawrence Phillips and vice versa.
Yeah.
There was nothing against the two guys.
Well, it's because both players are competitors and they understand the game. And in pro football, every time you show up in training camp, there are 3 or 4 behind you trying to take your job. Lawrence Phillips was no different last year, and in Don Matthews' opinion was the better back, and that's why he started.
Crandall, sideline. And they got a first down, and it's Latario Rochelle.
You know, and there's lots of people, when you talk about the comparison of the two, that'll say, you know, as long as the Montreal Alouettes win the Grey Cup, which they did last year, then the decision is a good one.
Yeah,
but there are a side to that argument that people will say, would they have won the Grey Cup with Mike Pringle as their starting back? And some people would have said, yes, that would have happened as well, because the Montreal Alouettes were a team poised to win the Grey Cup for a couple of years with the talent they had. Nevertheless, Jim Barker loves the ability of Lawrence Phillips, and that's why he's a Calgary Stampede.
8 first downs for the Stamps. Zippity-doo-dah right now for the Edmonton Eskimos. Crandall stays in the pocket.
Oh, that is pass interference, and I'm a former DB. It doesn't get more blatant than that.
And you can, Don Blair is right in the face of the official telling him that, but there was no nylon on the field.
Well,
Donnie Brady.
It's right in the middle of your screen. It's a crossing pattern, and as the ball arrives, Donnie Brady's going to give Blair a push right there in the back.
Oh, gee.
And that is a good 2.5 seconds before the ball arrives. I mean, that's as blatant as it comes, and I don't know if maybe that official was standing real close, was maybe screened by another DB.
Maybe. Eskimos catch a break. 2nd and 10. Crandall, here's the rush, gets it away. McGarity again, fighting for the first down. Will be 2 yards shy. I am impressed with Wayne McGarity. Spent some time with the Dallas Cowboys, primarily as a returner. Back-to-back punt returns against Montreal last week. A big kickoff, a field goal miss, and a return here tonight. 26-year-old out of Texas.
You know, Wayne McGarity in 2001, after 3 weeks in Dallas, was second on the team behind Joey Galloway. I mean, he's got game when you talk about a guy with ability, and he's shown a lot of it on special teams so far this year.
O'Malley will spiral it out of bounds. And it looks like it will be at the 19-yard line. Punt of 31 yards with just 27 seconds left in this first quarter, and it has been an abysmal start for Ricky Ray and the Edmonton Eskimos offensively.
Ricky Ray has got to get some help up front, and talking to this team last week, they had some breakdowns in the protection with that all-Canadian offensive line. Ricky Ray has not had a lot of time to look down the field so far in this one.
Credit the Stampeder front seven, though. They have been awesome so far here tonight. Hands off to Pringle.
Oh, yeah.
What a pop.
Oh, baby. That's what you love about Mike Pringle. And then jumps back up and says to the huddle, goes right back to the huddle, give it to me again. Give it to me again.
He is a ferocious competitor. Listen to this, folks.
Wow. I believe that was Otis Floyd in the hole, and that's not a small linebacker, Otis Floyd.
Last play, first quarter. Incomplete pass.
You see what Edmonton's got to do now. See, they've gone to the quick game. And that quick game, the timing was even off there to Terry Vaughn.
Well, Calgary got off to a quick start. They lead 8-0 after 1 quarter here at Commonwealth Stadium. Dave?
Thanks, Ryder. Remember how this game started. Calgary fumbled the opening kickoff. It looked like it had disaster written all over it for the Stamps, but they have looked great, while Edmonton has not. Break down the touchdown for us.
Well, pretty simple. Jim Barker wanted to take some pressure off his quarterback, and he puts him in good situations. He wants to be more productive in the red zone. Here we see Marcus Crandall in the pocket. He's got all time of the day, but then it breaks down. And then Abdullah takes another silly penalty for Edmonton. Leads to their first touchdown. And this is exactly what Barker wants to do. He sees cover zero. Garrett's out of the middle. He knows he's got one-on-one. He wants to pressure the edge with his quarterback. Here we've got Alfred Payton, and we've got Kelvin Powell here. Powell will spy out this way, and it'll be Crandall pressing the corner and then giving his receiver, Donald Blair, an opportunity to score an easy touchdown. This is exactly the route that they want to go in the red zone and have production, Jock.
Well, for Ricky Ray, things are not going the way he wants, primarily because of pressure. And here we're going to see how pressure can affect a quarterback in negative ways. We're going to look at a crucial second down situation. Ricky Ray's back in the pocket. He's got a crossers here. He wants wide cross. He wants Ricky Walters coming and picking for Jason Tucker. Now, that's his primary go-to guy, except he's got, right now, Aries Monroe right in his face. He's now forced to dump it off to Pringle on the swing. But here's if he had a little more time what he'd like to do. Here he's got Jason Tucker coming open just past the referee. He needs to wait till Tucker crosses the referee to get in the ball. As you can see, he doesn't have near enough time to do that. In fact, he's flat on his back by the time that guy gets to the ref.
Hey, Jock, this was Calgary's quarter, and the guy that really impresses me is Wayne McGarity, not so much as a receiver, but as a punt return, and I want to explain what he sees. First, he's going to run through the middle of the field. He's going to get all the players to converge, and at the moment that those players converge, he's going to break it to the outside. We'll freeze it right there. He sees all those Eskimos right there hesitating with their footwork. Then he breaks it to the outside. He did the exact same thing in the Montreal game for a big gain. What he does next is he hit the seam right up the middle, take it for additional yards. He's going to set up the return. Good punt returner.
And Ricky Ray is finding out what Anthony Calvillo found out last week. This Calgary defense means business. Back to Commonwealth Stadium.
All right, let's get back to business now. Sean Fleming to punt this away to open up the second quarter, dominated by the Calgary Stampeders, initiated by that guy, Wayne McGarity. And he'll get the ball again. Look out if he gets room. Up to the 50. And these numbers Glenn Suter are staggering, considering the Eskimos were in the Grey Cup game at Commonwealth Stadium a few months ago, not looking like a Grey Cup finalist.
And started with that fumble recovery like Dave Randorf mentioned. This is one that is going to be a concern as the game goes on. The time of possession lopsided there for the Calgary Stampeders, but if you're Edmonton, you just take that first quarter, you throw it right out. And I agree with Matt Dunnigan 100%. Ricky Ray has to get a little more protection in that pocket if he wants to have success. It won't matter which quarterback plays. If you're not getting time, he's not going to have success.
Phillips in the backfield. Crandall fakes it over the middle. Catch is made. Beautiful play. Crandall to Don Blair. His 4th reception so far tonight.
First of all, Marcus Crandall recognizes where Shannon Garrett is. He's low here, so this is the area that Marcus Crandall wants to go to, and the ball is perfect. Shannon Garrett gets caught a little shallow, so he's going down the seam on the opposite side. At the other end of that play, Don Blair, the veteran, just as the ball arrives, a little subtle push with the right hand. That holds Cordell Taylor off just for that split second as the ball arrives.
4 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown already, and the Stampeders in the red zone again. Crandall. End zone. Catch is not made. We have a flag at the goal line at the other side. And it might be pass interference. Probably will be.
Either that, Rod, or illegal contact. Either way, it was defensive back Cordell Taylor on the backside working one-on-one on Donnie Blair.
Edmonton 23, first down.
They're going to call Shannon Garrett. Cordell Taylor was basically mugging Don Blair on the backside. Shannon Garrett was up as well in the jam position. There's Garrett right there. He's getting up on in the jam on, I believe it's Wayne McGarity. A little bit of a grab there in the face mask, but beside him, Cordell Taylor was worse.
Back at it again now, 1st and goal. Lots of time, knocked down at the line. And once again, might that have been Dorian Moose?
I believe it was, yeah. Dorian Moose off the edge again. And this was a play that takes some time to develop. Don Blair's going to go out, try to go up, and then come back like that. A play that takes some time to develop. Now, Marcus Crandall has the time, but because Dorian Moose can't get there, he just puts that right hand, the second knockdown.
It's like Dikembe Mutombo out there. Shot blocker. A couple already tonight, knockdowns.
Not in my house, he said.
Second and goal. End zone, no one home.
Albert Connell looked to just basically put the brakes on the play. He was working one-on-one on Donnie Brady, as they're still working. See, they did it physically, now they'll do it verbally.
And the verbal shots. Albert Connell, 5 catches in his first CFL game against Montreal last week. Impressive receiver, Donnie Brady.
And you know, this Edmonton secondary with Donnie Brady and Cordell Taylor playing in the game for Quincy Coleman, who started the season.
Out with a hamstring pull.
Yeah, and this secondary has to try and get it together. You know, you have to be on the same page playing in the back end.
Mark McLaughlin from the 15. And it's 11-0 Stampeders. And the Eskimos offense needs to kick it into gear. Joe Fleming, Grey Cup hero from a couple of years ago, took a sabbatical from the CFL, said he retired, but decided to go sell real estate and insurance, and was tired of people saying no. I can't imagine anybody saying no to Joe.
Oh, yeah, well, and that was his problem. He was selling insurance and real estate, and when they said no, he couldn't hit them.
Yeah, exactly.
And because he couldn't hit him, he said, well, I better get back in the game. And boy, is Calgary happy that he is.
So after the field goal, the kick to Winston October. Cuts inside and brings it up to the 45. Good field position for Edmonton. And there is Big Joe Fleming, who is the lineman of the week in the CFL, despite the loss against Montreal.
3 quarterback sacks from the defensive line that produced 8 in the game, and Fleming's motor was revving the entire time. That's what people that play against Joe Fleming will tell you, that he never stops and never takes a play off. It's awful tough to go 60 minutes of football against Mr. Fleming.
Only takes his helmet off after every sack. Gets a lot of FaceTime on the Jumbotron. 1st and 10 for Ricky Ray. And this Eskimo offense that has been completely silenced. Look out! Gets it away.
I don't know how
And
Ricky
how did
Ray
he do that?
Ari's
Catch made.
Ari's Monroe, Rod, had him basically swallowed Ricky Ray here. Number 9, he cuts him off on this bootleg. And watch how he swallows him up here. He turns around, spins, and flicks it out.
That might be the completion of the year.
To save
Jason Tucker.
Well, it saved what would have been a 15-yard loss.
That's unbelievable. Well, that might be the spark they need. They have been very flat here. In the pocket. Over the middle to Ed Hervey. With some room. To the 40. Down the sidelines. And knocked out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Big play for the Eskimos. The biggest of the night so far.
You can't coach what Ed Hervey just showed you. Ed Hervey's going to come along here on the crosser, catch a little dump pass, and watch his speed to outrun the angles of the Calgary Stampeders. Kelly Malvo right here. Here's another angle by Davis Sanchez. Number 29 coming William Fields. He can't catch him. When William Fields has that kind of angle, he should cut him off. Ed Hervey outran it.
That was their first down of the football game. We're in the second quarter. Shovel pass inside to Terry Vaughn, his first touch of the night.
I'd love to show you that one more time, that angle that William Fields has, because football is a game of angles, and if you have a speedster like Ed Hervey, you have to make sure you have the correct angles. This is the angle of William Fields right here. He has him. There's no reason that Ed Hervey should get outside him, but because of that great speed, he outruns that angle of 2.9 to pick up extra yards.
Ed Hervey is wide left. Darrell Robinson wide right. And movement on the line. 2nd and 9.
And Ed Hervey, when you go back to week 1, was one of those players that got caught into some penalty situations. In fact, in the newspaper,
Calgary number 90.
the newspaper today, Ed Hervey said he had some undisciplined penalties that seriously cost their football team, which won't happen again.
Tom Higgins basically read the riot act to those who committed the transgressions. I don't know if there were fines, but you might expect that a couple of them were lighter in the pocket. Aries Monroe picking up the penalty on the line. 2nd and 4, and another penalty for movement.
Demetrius Maxey was back there having a cappuccino with Ricky Ray.
Offside. Calgary 91. First down.
So first Monroe, 90. Now Demetrius Maxey, the former Argo, 91. And so they are helping the Eskimos on this drive. So whether it's a cadence thing at the line or there's some movement, certainly it looks like the linemen are ready to jump here, Suits.
Well, changing your cadence for the quarterback can help you with your protection.
Ricky Ray.
Went with the option. What the Edmonton Eskimos did offensively was make a substitution. Ricky Walters came out of the game. Walters is coming back in now because it's 2nd and long. And they went in with 2 backs. Going with Troy Mills and Mike Pringle and try to run that option, hoping to try and run the ball for 4 or 5 and get in closer. Now Walters back in the game on the passing down.
In the shotgun, Ricky Ray, 2nd and 8. Ray lobs one to the end zone. And a good defensive play by Davis Sanchez, denying Ed Hervey.
Yeah, Sanchez in that matchup does a nice job. He's in that one-on-one with Ed Hervey, times the jump perfectly. I'll show you that first. Ricky Ray's going out to the outside. He tries to lob it up because Ed Hervey's got a bit of a height advantage, hoping that his receiver will jumping. Down in the goal line, though, Terry Vaughn is always the go-to guy. Look at the attention that Vaughn draws. Double team, a jam from the inside, Bray on the outside. That forces Ricky Ray to have to go on that one-on-one matchup to Ed Hervey.
So that big gain by Hervey down the sideline brought it into the red zone, and a couple of penalties still didn't help. However, the Eskimos get the field goal from Sean Fleming. They're on the board.
When the bullets were flying for real. Great matchup in Darren Davis versus that linebacking core in that one.
11-3 Stampeders. Play action, Crandall.
Oh, come on!
They want a pass interference call, but they're not going to get it. Don Blair downfield.
And Robert, earlier I thought maybe they should have got an interference call on Blair. This one I'm not so sure. I think Cordell Taylor did a nice job of taking away the inside of the field. And he didn't do it by holding Don Blair. He just ran on the inside and made Don Blair try to run through his body to get to the ball. It's a good no call by the official on that one.
Ontario Rochelle goes wide left. Andre Arlane wide right. Phillips in the backfield. Crandall in the shotgun. Might have been offside at the line. Crandall spinning and threw it away. Like one of the Stampeders was over the line in motion.
Offside. Calgary 86. Penalties decline. Third down.
Wayne McGarity.
Sure was. Wayne McGarity tried to hit the line of scrimmage on the fly, and it looked like he put the brakes on. You can be in the neutral zone if you're outside the tackle, way over here on the left side of the screen, and you're going forward down the field full speed. You can be in the neutral zone, but he puts the brakes on for a second and then takes off, and that isn't a legal procedure call.
First 2 and out for Calgary tonight. O'Manning. Down to Darrell Robinson. Tripped up at his 25. 52-yard punt. Well, years and years from now, Mike Pringle will be revered probably in the same way we revere George Reed, and he might be #1 all time. When do you think?
Well, if he can somehow get to his season average, when you look at those impressive numbers, I mean, 100-yard game, 65, he needs a couple of those in a hurry. Off to a slow start in this one as well, but I say by week 5, if he can get his per-game average, by week 5 next year, he'll pass George Reed.
Pringle stifled again by this Calgary front 7. Interesting to know that he's wearing number 34, the number of the great George Reed. But that's not why he wears 33.
Well, he showed up in Edmonton's training camp. Of course, Sigor Mobley, the linebacker, wears 27. That was his number in Montreal. He asked what the options were that were still available, and organization said 34 is there. And Mike Pringle said, my son would love for me to wear 34. It was my number in Pop Warner. One of my heroes is Walter Payton.
Well, there you go. Ricky Ray through the hands of Jason Tucker.
The organization then says, oh, and by the way, George Reed also wore 34, and he said, yes, I know he did, and I would be honored to wear 34 and hopefully break that record wearing 34.
The 4th 2 and out for the Eskimos tonight. By the way, George Reed's number 16,116 yards. Mike Pringle to become the all-time leading rusher in CFL history.
Just a bit of intensity on Mike Pringle's face.
Oh, yes. Good rush there. Fleming avoided the contact. Rochelle has the ball. Up to the 42 and hangs on to it. 11-3 Stampeders. This is Marcus Crandall again in the shotgun. The 1st and 10 from the 41. Crandall to McGarity. He's seen a lot of ball tonight. Sticks the hand out. Picks up about 6 or 7 yards.
Well, this is just one of those ways to try and get the ball to Wayne McGarity in a very high percentage pass, just crossing routes. One crosser here, the under, that's McGarity. Lawrence Phillips over top, that's called the over. McGarity gets a little dump pass right there. And now let's try to just get him the football, high percentage pass, and get him in space. See if he can't do some of the things that he does on special teams on offense.
Well, he is becoming a favorite target for Marcus Crandall, certainly here tonight. 2nd and 4. Crandall, lots of time, getting great protection. Another open receiver, and another first down. What a night Don Blair is having.
And this is what the type of game Don Blair expected. Watch the protection that Marcus Crandall has from that offensive line. Lawrence Phillips also back in there to provide some extra protection should the Edmonton Eskimos decide to blitz. Pretty precise throw and route by Don Blair. Nice throw and catch.
5 for 97 yards already. Only had 1 catch in week 1. Lawrence Phillips, the give. Tripped up, he gets 2 or 3. You know, they talk about the Calgary Stampeders in this rebuilding. This wasn't really rebuilding. This was like demolishing. Wally Buono gone, Calvin Anderson gone, Greg Furs is gone, Travis Moore is gone. There are a lot of weapons missing from last year.
Well, and some weapons that have arrived too. We talked about Wayne McGarity and the great things that he's done early in this season. And there is a lot of new faces, but look at a couple of them. Demetrius Maxey, Joe Fleming, Davis Sanchez, George White. I mean that on your defense alone, that improves you a ton. And there's a lot of good football players in that mix. Albert Connell, one on offense. And Jim Barker was asked in the press conference yesterday about the Battle of Alberta and what he thought of it. He said, well, I've got an entirely new team. I understand when people tell me in Calgary that, you know, it doesn't matter what you do all season as long as you beat Edmonton. He said, so I'm starting to learn a little bit about this rivalry, but don't know a whole bunch about it yet.
Well, you win the Grey Cup one year in a city with a team and you don't make the playoffs the next year, things change. We'll take a break. Injury on the field. You're watching Wendy's CFL Live on TSN. It's Alfred Payton down.
Career averaging, you know, over 12 sacks per season, and he was gonna. But that is not a good sign when he can't put any weight on that leg.
And he was very demonstrative when he got up. So the Eskimos and their faithful certainly hoping this will not be bad news. Alfred Payton is the anchor of that defensive line.
He has always been.
And almost every team he's been on, he's been the anchor of the defensive line.
Well, he has, and he's a pure pass rusher is what Alfred Payton is. Some defensive line, you know, they're good bull rushers. Joe Fleming, for instance, a bull rusher. He's got a lot of game. He's just pure pass rush every play.
Going through a lot of stuff, off-field stuff, too, as a pending court case here in Edmonton. So here are the Stampeders again. Crandall, lots of room for Phillips on the dump pass, out of bounds.
In this defense, you heard Matt Dunnigan in the pregame show talk about where the leadership had to come from for the Edmonton Eskimos, and that was with Singor Mobley, with Terry Ray out. And Mobley is asked to do so many things, as you see him right now just directing traffic with everyone. Kelvin Powell in his second year, he's got to get him lined up right. Talking to the defensive backs. Big season last year with 51 tackles and 4 picks. 2 of them went back for touchdowns. Tremendous athlete, and he's already showing his leadership right now in the field.
1st and 10. Phillips up the middle, fights for 5 or 6 yards. Lawrence Phillips, if you look at him and watched him game in and game out last year for Montreal, he will break it occasionally for a big play, but he'll get you 5 or 6 yards almost every carry.
Well, certainly does, and the first tackler almost never brings down Lawrence Phillips, and that's the sign of a good running back. And I think what coaches like most about him, believe it or not, is his ability to block and pick up blitzes.
So now what they say also about Mike Pringle.
Yeah.
2nd and 4. Catch made by Latario Rochelle, and it's close to the first down. Tackle made by Malcolm Frank.
Yeah, he closed in a hurry. Malcolm Frank got up there and really gave his defense a chance. Maybe at least forced Jim Barker into a decision.
Marcus Crandall, well, Jim Barker goes anything. He goes, oh, this is nothing. Why not? Go for it.
Well, it's a short yard, and I think you, at any time, got to believe your O-line can get you a yard.
You know Jim Barker is going to be called the gambler throughout this season as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, and it all started in week 1.
Yeah, and you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And that's a good decision to make for Jim Barker. No matter how you feel about the textbook way a coach should make those kind of decisions, when you're inside of a yard and you have a yard off the ball, as we do in Canadian football, you go ahead and get the first down.
Only 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Edmonton Eskimos only have 2 first downs. 13 for Calgary. It's an 8-point game. 1st and 10 from the 28.
But you don't want to count your money before the dealing's done. A lot of football.
You gotta love when you got a guy who likes country music up here. Crandall goes to his left, on the run, lets it go to the end zone, knocked away. Marcus Crandall was running for his life. Dorian Boose was right there. Crandall was able to let it go, but no one was there. For the third quarter at Commonwealth Stadium, with the Eskimos staging a second quarter surge, here's Ken Chillibeck with Coach Higgins.
Coach, first of all, talk about the way the team started to come back in the first half. That's going to be a positive.
It was a positive, and you just have to relax, and that's why you play 2 halves of football. So we feel we had a little bit of momentum in the second quarter, and we just got to keep working.
What about the absence of Alfred Payton in the second half? How's that going to affect your defensive scheme?
Well, we're fortunate because we had an extra defensive football player dressed, so they don't get a chance to roll anymore. It looks like he's definitely out right now, and we'll have to wait and see what happens, but that shouldn't be a challenge for us.
Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Looks like Alfred Payton has a knee injury of some sort. We'll get an update. Here's the quarterback situation. Marcus Crandall, more attempts and completions, and the 2 touchdowns.
Well, it's interesting. Crandall had the success in the first quarter. Ricky Ray sort of midway through the second quarter got most of his 124 yards. So Marcus Crandall started to tail off a little bit, and I think more than anything, the Edmonton secondary started to settle in and figure out exactly what Calgary was doing in that first half. Now it becomes who made the best adjustments.
Again, Wayne McGarity had the big play early on. When Sean Fleming missed the field goal, McGarity took it out of the end zone and almost the distance. Here's McGarity again. Nowhere to go this time. It looks like they've got pretty good contain on the specialty teams now on number 86. 20-yard return.
Alfred Payton, you heard Coach Higgins talk about Alfred Payton out of the lineup now. He's not going to return. So that means that Dorian Boose will play every down. Now, the good news is they're real high on Dorian Boose, and they feel that, you know, he's going to be an every down player eventually anyway, but he hasn't had a whole lot of time to get in game shape for every down on the field. They were rotating him through. Interesting to see how he's playing in the fourth quarter.
Crandall, as he did almost all first half, back to throw. This time he runs and slides for a couple of yards, and it's a good thing he ducked because that might have been ugly.
Well, the decision-making process for a quarterback is so important, maybe none bigger than this one right here, to get down.
Oh, baby.
Because there's a wall of Eskimos coming at you. It's a good decision, not take an unnecessary hit.
It will be 2nd and 7 from the Calgary 40. Crandall didn't take off with the ball too often in that first quarter. A lot of scrambling, but a lot of throwing. Oh, Eskimos this time. Raheem Abdullah's there. So too Steve Charbonneau.
Well, and it really was the pocket collapsing. Dorian Boose from one side, Charbonneau in the middle, Abdullah on the other. Just watch this lineman right here as you go across the board. They start to collapse the pocket down on Marcus Crandall as they step upfield. Right in the middle of your screen, Albert Reese involved too. There's a nice turn move there by Steve Charbonneau to roll out of that block, and that pocket just collapsed on him.
So O'Malley will punt it away. Driving spiral down to the 25 is October. Dangerous returner. October up to the 42-yard line. That's where the Eskimos will begin in the third quarter on a 17-yard return by Winston October. When you restructure, you win some and you lose some, and then you get some back. Joe Fleming back with the Calgary Stampeders, much to the delight of head coach Jim Barker.
he brings such a great mentality. I mean, it's rare when you look at practice and you look at a guy and he's always smiling. I mean, this guy loves to play the game, and he brings a mentality about him very similar to what Demetrius Maxey brings. You know, there's a work ethic there among those two guys that permeates our entire defense.
Mike Pringle, the carry. Joe Fleming is almost went out. Well, he comes back, but he went out in a blaze of glory with the Stampeders in their Grey Cup win, stuffing Kahari Jones in that memorable sack at the Grey Cup. Here's what he's done already.
3 sacks last week versus Montreal. What a great play that was. Really ended the chances for Winnipeg in a comeback in the Grey Cup game.
2nd and 5. Ray to Ricky Walters. And a first down for the Eskimos, who did not march the football in that first half. Their plays, their first downs were all big plays. They never had any real sustained drives.
Well, what they did to start the second half was get Mike Pringle involved on first down. He had a run that got them halfway there to the first down marker, and then that quick hitch pass there to Ricky Walters gets him the first.
Might see more of number 34 in this second half for the Eskimos. Out of the backfield, Ray to Pringle. And close to another first down. In fact, it looks like they'll move the chains again.
He thought George White got his hands on the face mask. Ricky Ray, tremendous patience. He looked downfield. His initial read, see to the right side as he looks down the middle. Nothing there, nothing there. Okay, I'll take my third read, drop it off, and Michael Pringle's coming right at you, so bow your neck. And I think George White did get his hand across the face mask of Pringle.
First and 10 from the Calgary 42. Boy, would this help the Eskimos' confidence with a score here in the third quarter. Tucker is rocked by Fields.
Tucker's taken some big hits, and one was called back on the holding call late in the first half. He went down the seam. He took a big one there from Hassan Proverbs, and this was another ball that took a little time to get to him. And you see, as he turns around, William Fields is right there to say, hello, Mr. Tucker.
2nd and 7 now.
A couple of yards and a headache. That's what we used to call it in the secondary.
You gave a few headaches, didn't you? Flags down. Tucker again. Tripped up. First down yardage, but we'll wait on the call here. Might have been a holding call.
Well, that's front four of the Calgary Stampeders, led by Joe Fleming and Demetrius Maxey, has been a handful.
It's against Calgary.
And this one goes against Calgary.
Calgary 98. Penalties decline. First down.
And Antoine Young, I think, just lined up in the neutral zone. But this battle has been going on. That foot looks like it's a bit far forward. It's a difficult angle to tell, but looks like he's just leaning into that neutral zone a little bit. But Ricky Ray hasn't had real good passing lanes all game long.
First and 10 from the Calgary 28. Ray hands to Pringle and is wrapped up there.
And you see again that defensive line played the game in Edmonton's own end. I mean, and what I mean by that is the Calgary Stampeders line now is playing the game. This is anything back here. That's all Edmonton territory. But watch how that Calgary front seven penetrate that area. They are playing the game about a yard into the Edmonton Eskimos offensive backfield. It's awful tough to run the ball when that happens.
2nd and 9 now. Ray looking for Tucker. Tucker pulls it in.
No way. Oh, man. He has taken 2 huge hits. And what a catch.
Look at this. Helmet off, ball in hands, 6. That was spectacular. And the Eskimos, with the convert, will pull within 1. 27-yard touchdown by Jason Tucker.
That's as good as it gets.
That's the Cirque du Soleil. Unbelievable catch by Jason Tucker. You will be seeing this one all season long. One-handed, put his other hand on it, lost his hat.
Oh, I tell you what, that rivals any catch I've seen in this game. And Jason Tucker gets up in workmanlike fashion and spikes the ball after taking a couple of hits in this game to make that kind of catch. That is truly unbelievable.
So it's last week all over again for the Calgary Stampeders. They've given up a big lead, but here comes McGarity again, down the sideline up to midfield. And a flag on the play back at the 31.
Can we let them sort the flag out, and could we take one more peek?
Take one more. Let's take about 30 more looks at this. This is incredible.
I was involved in a game in 1989 where many people said they maybe saw the greatest catch ever in Tony Champion in the end zone. And I would say that catch by Jason Tucker, certainly not a Grey Cup game, but that catch rivals the Tony Champion catch.
Well, and to add dramatic effect, to lose your helmet that way.
You know,
that's incredible. What a catch by Tucker.
That's as good as you will see, folks, in football, right there.
1-point game now, penalty against Calgary, brings it back to the 21. 18-17. Crandall behind center now. Play action to Phillips, rolling. Takes off with it. Avoids a tackle, but will only pick up 4 or 5.
And if you're Jim Barker right now, you're thinking deja vu all over again. You know, an 18-1 lead at halftime in week 1. Montreal climbs back in it and wins in overtime. 18-3 lead here in week 2. That has just disintegrated and is now a 1-point game.
So that means we have overtime again.
Hey, I'm okay with that. You all right?
Oh, yeah.
If Jason Tucker wants to play like that, then I'd sit and watch him all night long.
The circus is calling. What a game so far. Crandall up the middle. Head down. Oh, does he get pelted? Kelvin Powell was there.
Well, he took the hit, but he may got close enough to at least make it a tough decision for Jim Barker, if anything. Because you heard that from the official there. We picked it up on the mic. He's less than a yard, and he's less than a yard because he took the big hit.
And the gambler's going for it. You saw Duncan O'Malley clap his hands. He's not going in. Know when to hold him, know when to fold him. Here he goes again, another third down gamble for the Stampeders. This is a big one here. Momentum all on the Eskimos side early in this third quarter. Less than a yard, and he's got it.
And I think Marcus Crandall, after last week when they were in overtime on the 1-yard line, he has heard enough this week the question, why did you not run the quarterback sneak when it was 1 yard to get to the end zone? He's 1 yard from a first down now twice in this game. Both times he ran the quarterback sneak.
But I suppose the thinking is, too, you know, why have a quarterback sneak when you got number 6?
Well, yeah, and you want to be able to block it. The downside of going to Lawrence Phillips when you need 1 yard, and they're going to take a closer look at this, is when you hand off the ball to a running back, you have to turn behind and give up 2 or 3 yards to do that. And
oh, my goodness, by a nose.
Gave it to him.
By the nose of a football. That was a lot closer than it looked at first glance.
By the nose of the football, it's the first down Stampeders.
Wow. That was close. That's as close as I've ever seen.
I'll tell you what,
the ball just has to have the nose basically touching the first down marker.
I'd hate to play poker with Jim Barker.
Well, you know he's going.
You get your butt kicked. 1st and 10. Owen. Miscommunication there with Phillips. In the backfield.
You know, it was miscommunication. Just looked like the timing was off on the play. I agree with you, Rod, because it was basically a draw play to go Crandall, have Lawrence Phillips look like he's going to block, and as Crandall steps up, he's just going to slip it around his back and up in front of him. but they were all turned around. It didn't look like it had the timing it needed.
Phillips with 49 yards, 20 ahead of his old teammate Mike Pringle. Both not really a factor so far. And stuffed again on 2nd down and 5.
See, this play doesn't have a chance because of the angle of Lawrence Phillips' shoulders. And what I mean by that is that if you can get see how his shoulders are facing this way. As the play develops, his shoulders are going to face the sideline. So when Phillips gets this ball, watch his shoulders. See how they're facing the sideline. Facing east to west, not north-south. And that allows that Edmonton defense to rally.
Both running attacks pretty much nullified by the front lines on both sides. Almost blocked. O'Mani got it away. October. Eskimos will start at their 32. They trail by 1. Big comeback here at Commonwealth. Rogers AT&T Wireless. It's over.
Yeah, you just do it. This is your vote right here, folks. 83. E83, because win, lose, or draw, this is the play of the game. This is the catch you will see over and over again, and better be the highlight of the night tonight.
Play of the night, maybe the play of the year. We'll see. It's only the second week in the CFL.
That catch is as good as you'll see in football, and then I'm talking North America.
Ken Chillibeck talked with Jason Tucker.
Thank you very much. I was talking to Jason Tucker. Everybody was abuzz on the sidelines on the bench when they came off after that touchdown, and I asked Tucker about his catch, and I said, you make a lot of one-handers? And he said, just trying to make the play, just trying to make the play. I know Terry Vaughn's talking about play of the year there for that one, too.
Just trying to make the play of the year. Ricky Ray, more time this time. And now we'll scramble. And a penalty. Might have got their hand up on the grill there. Might be a face mask call.
Mike Pringle gives Ricky Ray a chance here, and yeah, this is a passing play, but here again is an example of a player that's on the backside of the play.
Major foul, face mask, Calgary 35, first down.
Otis Floyd.
And it'll turn into positive yards because of the penalty, but here's Mike Pringle on the backside of a play. Watch Mike Pringle here. He's got a block when it should be a mismatch for the Calgary Stampeders and Antoine Young. So he does it. The play goes away from him. But now Pringle's still battling. See him still fighting there with Antoine Young, and that gave Ricky Ray the chance to get outside.
Net gain of 22 yards on the penalty. And the run by Ray. Pringle up the middle. Mike Pringle hit down, first down.
And there's your reward, Mike Pringle, for that great play on the backside. Because when you talk to your teammates, they will tell you that the Pringle run that you just saw was a good play. This is a nice play for their offense to see this run up the middle for Mike Pringle. But maybe the more important one was the previous play where he made that block on Antoine Young on the backside.
Biggest gain of the season so far as an Eskimo for Mike Pringle, 15 yards. He gets the give again. Three or 4 yards this time. Down to the 30-yard line.
Rod, when you look at Mike Pringle's first game, and obviously the numbers weren't very impressive, playing against the Montreal defense that attacks with their linebackers in every gap, basically eliminating the run from every team they play. Running backs, no matter who they are, need to see the football. They need to get into a rhythm, and it looks like Mike Pringle may be getting in that rhythm now.
When those eyes light up, look out. Catch made by Terry Vaughn. Got the first touchdown for the Eskimos, a big one, got them on the board. Vaughn on the slant pattern.
And to think that maybe for Mike Pringle, if he can get into a bit of a groove, to think that maybe it was that block on the backside that got him fired up enough. I mean, that's Antoine Young at 6'3", 270 against Mike Pringle at 5'9", 200. That's a matchup that should favor Calgary. But he battled like the warrior he is, got the nice run, and now he's got his team in scoring position.
First and 10 on the 27. Darrell Robinson wide right, Ed Hervey wide left. Ray, Troy Mills, close to another first down. Kelly Malvo there with the hit.
Terry Vaughn had a little bit of a crossing pattern working on Jason Bray, and I think he was the primary target for Ricky Ray, and there was some pushing and shoving going on, and Terry Vaughn kind of looked at the ref, but in typical Terry Vaughn fashion, he didn't really argue with the ref. You watch Vaughn on this crossing pattern, see how they get up there and start pushing back and forth. Really knocked Terry Vaughn out of his pattern.
2nd and 2. Look for Pringle, maybe. Nowhere to go. Looks like Sean Fleming will have to come out and put the Eskimos ahead if he can nail the field goal.
Yeah, and Sean Fleming's on his way because of Joe Fleming. Because Pringle didn't get any help up front. He's going to take this ball and see Fleming who slides this way, and as Mike Pringle hits the hole, there's absolutely nothing. And again, you give the ball, you give up a couple yards. You see Fleming's penetration there. Get some help from Willie Fells, and there's no play.
27-yard attempt this time for Sean Fleming. Right down Main Street. The Eskimos have their first lead of the ball game. It's 20-18. Well, Mo has taken a serious turn in this game. Momentum all with Edmonton. Calgary trying to turn it back to their side. Lawrence Phillips with some room.
See, again, Rod, the Edmonton Eskimos are doing a nice job of stringing that out. And what that means is just to make the field, make Lawrence Phillips run out of field, basically, and get his shoulders again going. Watch the line, defensive line, just slide to that. And Glenn Young from the linebacker, of course, slide. See how he just keeps buying time, working on the outside, forcing Lawrence Phillips to basically run out of space.
Boy, I can't say enough about the trench work on both sides tonight. Defensive line, there's Dorian Boose, the newcomer. He's been in Crandall's face a couple of times. 2nd and 8. In the shotgun. Holding call against Calgary. Raheem Abdullah was in, so too was Boose, and they had to corral him before they got to Crandall.
You see Raheem Abdullah right there, number 90, right in front of your screen. Great speed, one-on-one on Jeff Pilon, and he had nothing but tackle. Was his only alternative.
So a 2 and out again for Calgary. The Stampeders, Jim Barker was so happy early in the ball game. Marcus Crandall so effective. Everything going their way. But suddenly it's all Edmonton. O'Mani again. October. Down at the 31. Don't forget tomorrow, Glenn Sooner will have some red eyes.
Hey, it's football season, man. You find a way. You get there.
You get there. Wendy's Friday Night Football, the Blue Bombers, and the Ottawa Renegades. Undefeated Ottawa Renegades. Kahari Jones. Ryan Clark was the Defensive Player of the Week at a big game against the BC Lions.
Oh, hey, I can't wait to watch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Tons of talent on that team. Charles Roberts, Kahari Jones, Milt Stegall.
Terry Ray.
Talking about great catches. Milt Steagall's had a few in his career.
Oh, yeah.
And Ottawa, a lot better football team in year 2 than they were in year 1 when they won 4 games. So, played an entertaining game versus Hamilton in week 1. Got their first win of the year.
Ricky Ray looked a little rattled in the early going in this ball game. Much cooler now. Tucker again. Jason Tucker. The catching machine right here tonight.
And the protection is starting to pick up for the Edmonton Eskimos. See the double team here on Joe Fleming. And you got to double team Joe Fleming. See the passing lane there for Ricky Ray. Now he's got a chance to hang on to that football and calmly and composed throw that strike to Jason Tucker.
Only 5 first downs in the first half, 8 already in this quarter. Pringle's helping out in a big way, and he's slammed to the ground by Alondra Johnson.
Well, we got to keep that country theme going, because that was what a hog tie, I think that was what you call it, up around the neck from AJ, who's very outspoken, always in the Battle of Alberta, and took a few shots at the organization here in Edmonton.
Called them the Yankees. Said they're buying a championship.
and didn't have a whole lot of respect for Mr. Mike Pringle on that play. Has respect for him as a player, obviously, but mistreated him there.
2nd and 4. Oh, a big hit. Hervey hangs on. The official says no.
David Sanchez timed it up perfectly.
And what are they saying now?
Saying first down.
They're saying first down. David Sanchez said no catch on the final play of the 3rd quarter. And Hervey. And it was all Edmonton Eskimos. Calgary does it for the 2nd week in a row, giving up a big lead.
10 points for the Eskimos in that 3rd quarter, and with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd, week 2, and Edmonton finally has their first lead of this season, but now they seem to have the wheels turning, and we got to look at it one more time. Let's talk about that touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a couple things where the momentum turned, and it was Ed Hervey's catch on a beautiful strike by Ricky Ray. Now, and you heard Suit say that I feel like he's the most accurate deep ball passer in the league, and here he proves it. That's a sensational catch, but quite possibly the best catch you'll see all season is TCU grad Tucker coming down with the head stopper right there. That was beautiful. Just 3 looks at it. I mean, you just got to keep looking at that because that is athleticism at its finest, Jock. And to me, that's when Edmonton took over. Hervey's great catch, and you saw Bond take it in, defense responds. Now guys are making plays like the Edmonton Eskimos are capable of doing.
Well, obviously, quarterbacks are important and the receivers are important, but you need to give some props to the offensive line. And here's what's happened in the second half. It's been very evident. There's no pass rush anymore on Ricky Ray. Look at Ricky being able to sit back in the pocket and deliver strikes over the middle. This is what he does best. He's very accurate. Edmonton's not getting much of a pass rush either, but Crandall is not being as accurate in the pocket. So this is something to look for in the 4th quarter and something Calgary needs to work on. Their D-line faded late last week against Montreal as well, Chris. It's happening again tonight.
You're exactly right. The difference in this game is right now Ricky Ray has some time to complete those passes, but also Mike Pringle is now becoming part of the offense. And what it is really based on is they're running plays towards his strength. All that is a stretch sweep where every offensive lineman gets his big body on the defensive line or the linebacker, which means the guy reaches for Mike Pringle. He runs through those arms. If they keep running that type of simplicity with Mike Pringle, he's going to continue to gain yards.
This is Edmonton's 2nd game in the last 6 days. Fatigue doesn't seem to be a factor. They appear to be getting stronger as this one goes on, but it looks like we got ourselves a finish. Back to Edmonton for the 4th. Guys?
There's the head thumper. Oh, wow. Jason Tucker, and only 1 first down for the Calgary Stampeders in that 3rd quarter. So AJ's not happy. This team needs some stops. The Eskimos are turning it on.
Look at that 3rd quarter. All Edmonton in the 3rd. And this, folks, that was a beauty. And I agree with the guys on the panel. That may be the best you see all season long in North America.
Well, maybe he hasn't. Yeah, maybe he has an encore here tonight. He's been dangerous. Ray.
Hello, boy, Darrell.
And Darrell Robinson. And picks up half of the first down yardage.
You know, and it is a good point when you look at the time now that Ricky Ray all of a sudden has to throw the football. One of the things is the offensive line obviously probably playing a little bit better up front, making the right reads. But Mike Pringle in this second half has become a bit of a factor running the ball. And as long as Pringle is a threat back there to run the football, then play action becomes an element that the Edmonton Eskimos can use just to cause that D-line to pause for a moment.
What is a non-story, which we've been talking about since last week, the beginning of the season, the 2-quarterback system. Bart Hendricks has not played tonight. It's been all Ricky Ray, even though he struggled early. There's Jason Moss right there. Bart still with the cap on. We still might see him here tonight, but the way that Ricky Ray struggled early and then turned it on, it looks like Higgins wants to keep his #1 guy in a groove.
I think Tom Higgins would be heavily criticized if he makes a move right now. Ricky Ray has got this team back in it.
Agreed.
With the lead now.
2nd and 5. Ray, sideline Hervey. First down.
Although, you're right, Tom Higgins, his game plan coming in was to get Bart Hendricks in the game. And but at this point, you head into the 4th quarter, it's a 2-point game, and Ricky Ray is putting the ball on the spot.
You're talking about putting it on the spot. That was his 11th straight completion.
Yeah, you got a guy that's that hot, you leave him in there and let him chuck it.
Pringle. Nowhere to go.
See, now that's not a big gain from Mike Pringle and the Edmonton Eskimos. But here's a couple things it does to the D-line. Number one, they have to respect that run. So now, rather than just go into an automatic pass rush move to get after Ricky Ray, they have to take a peek at Mike Pringle. Number two, it gives that Edmonton offensive line a chance to fire out and go be aggressive on the D-line rather than sit back on your heels and try and pass block all the time. I think it really has changed the complexion of this game in the third quarter with Mike Pringle involved a little more.
2nd and 8. Ray in the pocket. Guess who? Tucker again. This guy's having a career night. They can't stop him.
Well, he makes a nice read. We saw his athletic ability. Here he is right here. We saw his athletic ability on the great touchdown catch. Watch him use his head now. He sees his own defense, sits down in the hole, and presents a target for Ricky Ray. Saw him use his physical abilities and his great athletic ability. There we saw him use his head.
12 in a row for Ricky Ray and the Eskimos. From the 21, Pringle. But what they have been doing since they came out of the locker room is initiating their offense with their running game.
Yeah, and that line, again, they fire out now on first down. They get a chance to get some of those aggressions out. You get Tim Prince and Dan Comiskey, Kevin Lester, a chance, if you're Danny Machocha now, to let them fire out, be aggressive. Go ahead, guys. We're going to give the ball a little bit to Mike Pringle. Go ahead and be the hammer, not the nail for a series, for a down or two.
Ray, flags down. Almost picked. Davis Sanchez was there. Check out this penalty on the near sideline.
Offside. Calgary 76. 2nd down repeat.
Big Joe Fleming.
Ricky Ray pulled Joe Fleming offside with his cadence. He changed his snap count. He was going on first sound for the first 4 or 5 plays of this drive. Went on third sound on that one.
Troy Mills and Pringle in the backfield. Mills gets the call. Plows his way on 2nd and 3. And it looks like that will be 1st and goal.
And again, we see more balance from Danny Machocha in the offense. The Edmonton Eskimos. And balance so important to everybody. Even the secondary, as Machocha signals more plays into Ricky Ray. Because if you can run the ball successfully, even the secondary may hesitate on that play action. That's the one time you get a receiver in behind.
12 pass completions in a row. But the give is to Pringle. AJ is there. Wrestles him to the ground.
Well, now Mike Pringle is starting to get up towards that average that we're used to. We showed you at the very beginning of the show that we would compare him and Lawrence Phillips' numbers, and Mike Pringle is now getting close to that 92 yards per game average that he's had in his career, and that's in his career when he's actually been playing, because his first year didn't play much, last year didn't play much, so we took those out of the mix. But when he's been the starter, it's been 92 a game and 56 on 14 carries now for Pringle.
Troy Mills out of the game now. Pringle in the backfield. Passing down, 2nd and goal for Ray. Tucker again, maybe. Looking for Hervey, and a flag in the end zone.
There was some hand fighting going on between Davis Sanchez and Ed Hervey. You see Sanchez's reaction. I'm not sure which way they're going to go. That ball, though, was definitely thrown out of bounds. So if it's against Calgary, they have an argument that it wasn't catchable.
Davis Sanchez saying it's going that way, but Sanchez has been wrong a couple of times already tonight. Every time we look down there.
Well, when it comes to making the call, but he has certainly done a job in the coverage responsibility that he's
Forward
had.
pass interference. Calgary number 2.
I don't think Davis Sanchez will ever be an official.
And I think what Jim Markey will argue on this one is that ball was thrown out of bounds. I mean, let's take a look. There's the ball up there. Right down here is Sanchez and Ed Hervey. They're hand fighting down the field, no question. A push and a shove. And watch that ball. Is that catchable to you? I don't think so. That's 4 yards out of bounds.
First and goal from the 1. Mills, and another flag on the play. He's in for the score. The Edmonton Eskimos eating up a lot of the clock here in this second half.
Too many men. Calgary. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
And the sky is falling in here for the Stampeders in this third and fourth quarter.
Well, Jim Barker's got to fight through in this and tell his team fight through some of this adversity now because, you know, that interference call puts you down on the goal line and turns into 7 points. And I just flat out think this is a bad call. There's the football. There's hand fighting going down at the bottom of your screen here. I really don't even see any interference there. There's pushing and shoving going both ways. But more importantly, that ball bounced 3 or 4 yards out of bounds and was not catchable.
Used up a lot of the clock. Penalties helped. Troy Mills goes over. And the Eskimos lead 27-18.
They're ready to play. Are you? Play $1 Million Touchdown to Win at Safeway. If your name appears, you've won. VTEX VMix 2.4 gigahertz phones with caller ID and answering machine, musical ringtones, flashing visual ringer, and interchangeable faceplates. Or order Cable's 19.2 volt grip-to-fit drill driver and circular saw combo kit with grip-to-fit interchangeable handle inserts for custom grip. Swipe your club card at Safeway today.
Vote now for the Rogers AT&T Player of the Game. Using your Rogers AT&T wireless phone, type the first letter of your player's city and his jersey number as your message. Then send to Go CFL or vote online at cfl.ca.
Sport Check turns up the heat on summer savings. Great prices on the hottest names in summer fashions and a huge selection of footwear. Plus equipment and accessories for all your summer sporting needs. Look for savings in this week's flyer. Sport Check, the best value.
What's the party for? We just finished our Active Directory rollout. We created a single AD Forest and consolidated 70 domains to 4. With group policy, new Salesforce apps deploy in a day instead of weeks. It's going to save us over $2 million a year.
With new Windows Server 2003, you can do more with less.
And slide.
Well, the biggest non-surprise of the year. LeBron James went #1 tonight in the NBA draft. Raptors selected #4 tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern. Jennifer Hedger, Dan O'Toole with Sports Center.
I have a funny, sneaky suspicion that Jason Tucker's catch may make the highlight reel tonight.
LeBron James couldn't have made that catch. I'm telling you.
No shot.
Wow. 27-18 now for the Eskimos in a complete turnaround. Ontario Rochelle with the return up to about the 38-yard line.
Well, the 12-play scoring drive. Davis Sanchez at the end of that drive, victim of what looked like a terrible call. Pass interference in the end zone. A ball that was certainly not catchable turned into 7 points. But give credit to the Edmonton Eskimos. When you put 12 plays together, it's never just one. It's never just that one penalty. And 12 plays show great balance. But Sanchez, a bit of a victim there.
So 1st and 10 from the 38. Stampeders trying to get the momentum back. Crandall firing. Nobody around. Marcus Crandall's first pass of this second half. So the Eskimos have come out here with a very hungry defense as well. Disrupted any momentum that Calgary had going into the locker room. 0 for 1 now. Jim Barker cannot believe the way the tide has turned. 9 minutes to go. Lots of time in the game, though. Crandall throwing again. Look out.
There's four-man pressure from the Edmonton Eskimos from Rahim Abdullah coming off the edge. Number 90 right here. Four-man pressure, 2, 3, 4. There they are. No blitz coming, so it's 4-on-5 up front. Abdullah on the outside. Lawrence Phillips gets caught way up tight into the line of scrimmage. Can't help out his tackle on the outside. Lester Pope. Abdullah with the big sack runs down Marcus Crandall.
So Duncan O'Mahony. He jumped at the line but got back. October almost broke one earlier. And up to the 46-yard line. Eskimos offense. 2 sacks tonight for Rahim Abdullah. That means a couple more sacks to the Hunger Bank, Food Bank in Edmonton.
Yeah, and the way that works is that the weight of the quarterback is the weight of food that is donated.
Brought to you by Purolator. Purolator tackles hunger. No sacks for Calgary. Began the night with 8. Edmonton 2 more, makes a total of 4. Abdullah, what a story he is. Talk about comebacks. Look out now. Tucker again. All the way down to the end zone. Another touchdown. And he is shredding the Calgary Stampeders here tonight. 65-yard touchdown. Ricky Ray to Mr. Everything tonight, Jason Tucker.
Well, he has shown you everything. He has shown you great athletic ability to out-jump a defensive back. To the right of your screen, folks. He's showing you the smarts to know when to sit down in his own defense, and look at him show you some speed. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
What a night. The CFL All-Star in his first full season last year. He's an All-Star again here tonight. Ricky Ray, good toss. Jason Tucker, another touchdown. Goodness sakes, Jason Tucker. 2 big plays.
Athletic prowess, speed. Want to show you a good move, too. Look at that. Look at the breaks. Anthony Pryor, he bites. Shoulders going that way. Tucker's coming back in this way. See ya. He's gone down the field. Now he's got that 3 or 4 yards jump on Anthony Pryor, and watch the speed and acceleration to the end zone.
And in the process, Ricky Ray, 13 straight completions. The CFL record is 18 in a row. There's McGarity. Still on his feet. But the Eskimos are now absolutely all over the Calgary Stampeders.
If Ricky Ray keeps throwing to Jason Tucker, he may just get this record.
There's another Ray up there, no relation. Toronto Argonaut Mike Ray in 75. Joe Paupow in 79. 18 straight completions. Toronto against BC. Dieter Brock. We have a Ralph Brock in the game tonight. Brock Ralph. Plays for Edmonton, number 80.
Well, lots of time for Ricky Ray to go after that record.
The Stampeders have absolutely been silenced in this second half. And again, it's so much like last week. The only thing is, Edmonton's now strolling away.
Well, and when you look back at the half, you know, the Calgary Stampeders came out in the second half, and we haven't seen any of Lawrence Phillips, basically, in the entire second half. So where Edmonton went and involved Mike Kringle and provided some balance to their offense, Calgary went the opposite way. Basically have tried to throw the ball on every down and haven't had success doing it.
7.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Finally a completion.
And you got to give credit to 2 players in particular up front. Rahim Abdullah for the Edmonton Eskimos and Dorian Boos, the newcomer in the lineup for the Edmonton Eskimos, who's come in and played every down for Alfred Payton, who left with a knee injury early.
So a completion and a penalty tacked on. So maybe the Stampeders can find a way to get to the end zone. Again, lots of time left. And if they needed to draw any inspiration, they might draw it from the fact that The Eskimos turned this game quickly. Crandall. Lawrence Phillips. Ball passed behind him. Phillips having words now.
A little frustration there with
Donnie
Lawrence
Brady.
Phillips, but he's got to be careful. They always get the retaliation. Phillips turned around and gave Donnie Brady a two-hander in the chest. Looked like that ball was touched at the line on its way to Lawrence Phillips.
Well, the Eskimos did not look like the Grey Cup finalists in that first half here tonight. Keep in mind also they did not lose 2 games in a row all of last season. And right now are not looking like they're going to lose 2 games in a row. But don't count the Stamps out yet. Don Blair, who was very effective early in the ball game.
Well, you can't count the Stamps out, and for a couple reasons. One, Marcus Crandall's certainly been in enough tough situations to know how to deal with this kind of pressure. Number 2, whenever you get these 2 teams together, you better play for the full 60, because anything can happen.
And number 3, this is the CFL.
Exactly.
Throwing again. Rochelle can't make the catch. Another pass behind the receiver.
Think back, case in point, Labor Day game 2000. Calgary Stampeders run back a 2-point convert attempt by the Edmonton Eskimos on an interception the entire length of Commonwealth Field to win. Anything can happen when these 2 teams travel either direction on Highway 2 in Alberta.
One of the great rivalries in sports. Battle of Alberta, the CFL, Crandall. And once again, Dorian Boos. Give him a sack now. They're loving him here in Edmonton.
Well, and Jeff Pilon has had his hands full. And here you go with a little one-on-one, folks. You see as Pilon tries to get his hands up around the neck, and Boos just drives right through it. That's a rip move from Dorian Boos with the right arm up underneath and just drove through that attempt from Jeff Pilon to try and strangle him at the line of scrimmage.
You can bet he keeps doing what he's doing. Only a couple of games as an Eskimo. You'll be hearing Boos a lot here in Commonwealth Stadium. McLaughlin from 46. Flag on the play. Wide right. October looks like he'll take the knee. But there is a penalty call.
Winston October took some time off the clock. I think the Edmonton Eskimos jumped offside.
And McLaughlin's down and hurt.
Yeah, and that's the bad news for Calgary, because McLaughlin, the good news was, if that's the case, he gets another crack at this field goal 5 yards shorter.
I'm not sure if he can kick it.
But that's not a good sign. Now, if he can't, Duncan O'Mahony, the punter, would come in. And he does take reps in practice.
Looks like he just torqued it.
No one hit him. No one touched him. It looks like just when that ball went off his foot.
No end. Offside, Edmonton 55. Third down repeated.
So third down repeated. McLaughlin looks like he wants to stay in the game. Duncan O'Mahony has kicked field goals. You mentioned taking reps, and in college also booted field goals. But it looks like McLaughlin's staying in.
With the UBC Thunderbirds. So McLaughlin come in. And, well, offsetting penalties. And what happened was the Calgary Stampeders, they sort of bowed their line. They made it look like almost a U shape in the field goal formation, so they had a wrong formation. Jim Barker's decided to go ahead and try and gamble here on third down.
Well, with 5 minutes to go, down by 16, might as well pull out the stops here. This, folks, you'd think would be the ball game if they can't make it. Flag on the play. Catch made by Andre Arlene. But another flag.
It looked to me like Albert Connell or Wayne McGarity, one of the two, approached the line of scrimmage and may have been a little too close.
Offside, Calgary 87. Penalty flag. First down.
They're calling on Blake Mahan, but there's a couple of receivers up front. I thought Albert Connell and Wayne McGarrett. As you can see how they come up to the line on this waggle, and then they hesitate right at the line of scrimmage. There's the waggle, there's the hesitation. And inside that neutral zone.
So the Eskimos take over on downs with 4.5 to go and can put the sails up, you would think. Ricky Ray does have 13 straight pass completions. CFL record is 18 in a row.
Well, and they can't relax, so Rod. 34-18, and with 4:20 left, there's still time. You get a quick 2-and-out from that Calgary defense. Now the ball back. Still plenty of time to put a couple of scores on the board.
Stampeders, however, have done absolutely nothing in this second half. Vote for your player of the game on the internet, CFL.ca, or text messaging on your phone, brought to you by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Imagine getting more from your phone. Can he make it 14 straight? Yes, he can!
Yeah, and folks, E83 if you're text messaging. E83 is the way you do it.
You know something, E15 isn't bad either.
E15 wouldn't be a bad vote either, but E83 with that one catch alone in the end zone.
Do you know what? Even for tomorrow night's game, put in E83. It's a leftover.
You know, it was almost that good.
It was great catch.
And what a game he's put together. Just tremendous athlete, and he showed us all of his repertoire. He really has. He's shown us that he knows he can think the game. He can out-jump an opponent for the ball. We saw some great route running from him and great speed as well.
TCU star, long jumper, track star. Edmonton's second leading receiver a year ago. Behind Terry Vaughn, tonight he is the leading receiver. One of the great catches you'll ever see earlier in this ball game. The only thing is, it's like a hole-in-one. Once you've got one, you know, once you've had that catch, anything else you do may pale in comparison. He might need a tightrope next time. 3-minute warning coming up. And there it is. Catch made, but the Stamps have a long way to go. They trail 34-18. 24 unanswered points by the Edmonton Eskimos in this second half. And they lead 34-18 and look like they will get back on the winning side and be 1-1 after tonight. We still have 2:57 to go, but Calgary needs a quick strike. They have to find the end zone in a hurry. Crandall over the middle. Catch made by Wayne McGarrity.
Well, that's the first step to getting that quick strike. Get a bunch of yardage in one play. Crandall stepped in there confidently and threw a strike to Wayne McGarrity, who came all the way across from the opposite side of the field. Now you get in that hurry-up offense.
Gave up a big lead last week to Montreal, lost in overtime, gave up another big lead here tonight. Trying to come back now. And off target. And we have a penalty. McGarity and Donnie Brady jawing at each other. McGarity took a shot at Brady.
Well, it depends on whether or not you thought Donnie Brady had time to pull up. He's going to come right from the right of your screen.
Unnecessary roughness.
Ball bounces there.
First down.
He coils and unloads on Wayne McGarity. Now, you can't read Donnie Brady's mind. Whether or not he could have pulled up on that. Unnecessary roughness is the call. Or was he just playing through the play and didn't realize the ball was about ready to bounce on the turf?
Stampeders, 1st and 10 on the 24 with 2.5 to go. Hand off to Phillips. Picks up about 6. Stampeders started furiously and quickly in this ball game, Glenn Suter. But the Eskimos rally hard. Our game story brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. Sport Check, the best value.
Well, it's Don Blair and Marcus Crandall in the first half, Jason Tucker, Ricky Ray in the second.
Crandall. And nobody there, looking for Laterio Rochelle.
But to remind the folks from Calgary watching this game that there was the big comeback that cost Calgary, Montreal in week 1, and in our second game, Toronto came storming back. Calgary needs to get in the end zone right here, no question. But remember, Toronto against Saskatchewan with an onside kick. Saskatchewan with an onside kick that resulted in winning points.
Well, you never know. But they need something in a hurry. Dump pass. Phillips can't hang on. And that'll do it. 3rd and 3, it's over.
Oh, and there's more frustration. Donnie Brady and Phillips throwing right hooks. And that's frustration from Lawrence Phillips, who dropped the first down, and maybe that's it for the Calgary Stampeders.
And they can draw some positives from this game and their last game. The negatives, of course, are the way that they have fallen apart. This is a team that is a work in progress, of course. New coach, new players, new system, new running back who has lost his cool right now, and Lawrence Phillips.
And with Lawrence Phillips, I'll get back to that in a minute. You know, when you talk to the Calgary Stampeders as they try and rebuild, and Jim Barker, and he talks about Lawrence Phillips being a model citizen so far with the Stamps and their organization, you know, when you go to 0-2, you lose and you start feeling the pressure from outside sources, the media and the fans in your city, then you really find out what will happen with Lawrence Phillips and how he will react to that, and how, if something does happen off the field, Jim Barker reacts to it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Calgary Stampeders do, in fact, lose this game and drop to 0-2, where that goes, where that storyline goes.
Yeah, you're right. Close to it.
That means every single play.
And they're still not giving up here. The Stampeders trying to pull out the stops. They will get the ball back. Calgary, for the 3rd straight season, it looks like will start the year 0-2. Keep in mind, 3 years ago they were 0-2. They won the Grey Cup. Last year they were 0-2. They didn't make the playoffs. But no Wally Buono this time. It's the first time they didn't make the playoffs since 1988. It's a long time. But they have a couple of Grey Cups in between time that the Eskimos have won a Grey Cup, 1993. Everybody thought the Eskimos had a really good chance to win the Cup a year ago. So it's going to be interesting how the weeks play out here in the West End. And it's Calgary ball. No yards call. They'll get the ball back with 1.5 minutes. So,
I'm telling you, you know, you just don't try and avoid traffic if you're watching the CFL game. Just sit in there until the gun goes.
The hardest thing to do is to close the deal, right, in the CFL.
Well, it is, because when you have 3-down football, when you have 20 seconds between plays, you have to get in and out of the huddle. You have to get on the line of scrimmage. Just David Sanchez coming in there. And it means there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah, why not?
Dorian Goose.
The Goose has been loose tonight.
3rd knockdown, that was the biggest. 3rd time in this game he has batted the ball out of the air. And Jim Barker needed all of those. He needed a couple big plays. He needed the touchdown to McGarity, but he had to have that 2-point convert as well.
They've tried to spring Phillips a couple of times tonight from the backfield and haven't had a lot of success. They've pretty much, the Eskimos that is, have shut that play down. Dorian Moose, 3 knockdowns. And now you need an onside kick.
That's right.
With 1.5 minutes to go.
So you see there's Ricky Walters up there. He's a receiver. And they try and put the hands team on to compensate with players on each side. So now it's really a 2-way go for McLaughlin. Well, actually, it's going to be Duncan O'Mahony that kicks it.
Sometimes you wonder why he wouldn't just go up the middle.
Well, that's an option. If he does, he can go and recover it himself with just one-on-one with Troy Mills standing there.
Let's see what happens. Kick is up. And there's a flag. Connell got the ball. It will be Calgary's possession, but I don't know if it went 10 yards.
It did. Went 9 yards. It went 9 yards, and that was a flag. It's illegal kickoff. It didn't cover the 10 yards required. Albert Connell recovered it, but he didn't recover it in the right spot.
Illegal kickoff. Calgary 97.
That's the line right there, folks. Connell's up, touches it going out, and his foot is, well, it's about 6 inches too short.
Albert Connell. I guess if he was Shaquille O'Neal, he'd be all right. Albert Connell trying to keep the Stamps' hopes alive. Minute 29. And it looks like Mike Pringle has won the subplot. Pringle versus his ex-teammate Lawrence Phillips here tonight. Biggest thing is, of course, the W on the board.
Well, without a doubt, and we talked about comparing the numbers between the two backs. In fairness to Lawrence Phillips, Calgary went away from their running game, but you got to give full credit to Danny Machocha, who brought Pringle and involved him in the offense in the second half.
Pringle again. Stop there.
But when you do tally up the numbers of the two backs teammates last year, Mike Pringle wins battle number 1 in their new home, and Mike Pringle also crosses the 14,000-yard mark all time.
Only player besides George Reed, who also wore 34 and so many years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the great George Reed, who Mike Pringle now chases down in the history books. And it is so nice to see Mike Pringle doing this in the CFL, because we didn't see it last year. Maybe he's done for the night. Helmet off, 20 seconds to go. And Ricky Ray, 14 passes in a row to end this ball game. Very impressive. 2 very memorable ones to Jason Tucker.
Oh, hey, man, I'll tell you what. Jason Tucker put on a clinic today and this evening, and you will not see a better catch than Jason Tucker's, and we'll show it to you one more time. And I'll tell you what, folks, you watch this catch, it's enough to just lose your head.
Very good. And there we go. Game is over. Eskimos have their first win of the 2003 season. Jim Barker, still winless, is the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, who begin another year.
All right, folks, Jason Tucker put on a clinic. Pictures speak louder than words.
And just for a little dessert, another touchdown. 2 tonight, 34-24 the final. The Eskimos now 1-1.
We'll start that at 7 p.m. Eastern. The play of the game brought to you by Rogers AT&T, getting 84% of the vote, mainly because of this play right there. Jason Tucker, outstanding tonight. 2 touchdowns as the Eskimos even their record at 1-1. We'll join the Teleskins game in progress. Thanks for watching, everyone. You are watching TSN, Canada's sports leader.